huge.
You're going to get started now?
I went to that meeting. Oh,
Come to order, please.
Oh, I thought we'd have a social first.
Henry's just back. That's his life.
Okay, we're live, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Strathroy-Caradoc Police Service Board meeting for February the 21st, 2024. We'll start with roll call, and I see that all members are present, back from the sunny south, some of us. And so there we are, that's number one off the list. Number two, the approval of the agenda. Do I have a mover? What? Henry, I see you in the flesh, so you have moved it, and Matt, you have seconded, and all those in favor? Thank you very much. Wonderful. Off to number three, declaration of pecuniary interest. Do we have any today? Seeing none, we'll move on to the reading and correction and approval of the minutes. And these are for item 4.1, the general meeting minutes of January the 16th, 2024. If everyone's looked at those and would like to accept them, I would need a mover and a seconder. Member Hahn and Member Hall seconding, and all those in favor?
I wasn't here, so I can't vote on it.
Exactly. And I don't think there's a big controversy, because it looks like they've sailed through very nicely. All those here, that is approved. And we're at communications, and 5.1 through to, my goodness, 5.1.16. Actually, could I just have a motion to accept these, and then we can go through each one. Member Hall, Member Hahn, all those in favor, thank you. Well, we won't vote on it yet. We vote on it. And then, so we'll go with 5.11, Basic Constable Training Program Allocation Request, and we'll turn it over to the Chief, who probably can elaborate on this for us.
Thank you, Chair, and to the rest of the board. So, obviously last year, the Solicitor General for the province of Ontario announced some changes for the basic constable training program and reserving spots at the Ontario Police College. They obviously eliminated the tuition that new recruits were previously required to pay. It was all done obviously to help draw in more recruits into the profession of policing. And it has been effective, because many of the services, if not all of the services in the province, including our partners provincially, the Ontario Provincial Police, are very active in their recruiting. That's a long way to get to the point of saying the demand for seats at the Ontario Police College is very, very high. And so the college reaches out to all the different police services in advance, asking for what is their demands for seats. And so we are continually working with them. You don't see a report for this meeting, but we do have a new recruit actually starting in early March to fill a vacancy for an opportunity that we made available for one of our senior members to go down there on a secondment program. So that's sort of a bit of a review as to the correspondence. It's basically putting out well in advance any request for seats, and then providing the numbers that you need. And it's all strategic to ensure that you keep the seat if you have one, and if not, give it back well in advance so other opportunities exist for other services.
Are there any questions for the Chief on this item?
So,
Henry?
does this mean we go through this process?
Through the chair to
We
the
do.
Chief.
Sorry?
Yep.
Mr. Mark?
Sorry if I understand.
Do we go through, do we do this?
We do, yeah. So, and actually the deputy, sorry, this is the seat at the colleges still, or?
Like it says here, right? It requires police officers, blah, 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 members of the Police Services Board committees to successfully complete ministry-approved training on human rights. Does that mean?
Henry, could you turn on your mic when you're talking, please?
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been away a long time. Does that mean we do that personally?
Oh, you're on the next one.
You're gone to the next one.
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that.
5 minutes
Okay,
ahead.
yeah, we'll
Okay.
go to that one in a
All
second.
right.
Okay, before we go to that though, just CBC had a big piece the other day on the demand for policing staffing in Canada right now, especially with the London service. Looks like they're going to hire something like 90 or 97 officers over the next 4 years. I guess my question to the Chief would be, given the rising demand for good candidates in Canada, and the fact that there's a lot of reporting on that now, that some forces are having difficulty in finding good recruits. Do we have a strategy in place to make sure that we retain a full complement in light of aggressive hiring by other police boards and police services?
So through the chair to the board, yes, we do. I will sort of give you an example. So we have utilized the strength of our service members as part of our recruiting process. I think I've spoken about this in past meetings and certainly maybe in one-on-one conversations about utilizing our staff to attract and draw in good applicants. We are utilizing various social media and traditional avenues to post when we do have opportunities. And we are seeing some fairly strong candidates that are making application to us. Just to sort of tie it into the correspondence that we just spoke about, in late 2023, we were informed by 2 of our members that they were leaving the organization. We made the decision within the service that we were going to replace those 2 experienced officers with brand new officers. One, because we had a fairly strong pool of candidates, new candidates, that we were excited to look at providing an opportunity for. But obviously there's a financial benefit in bringing in a brand new officer as opposed to the salary levels experienced members draw on. It is a challenging time. There is a lot of services who are taking and recruiting experienced officers. The downfall of the strategy we have in looking at bringing in new members is the time it takes to not only go through the hiring process, the training process at the college, which is about 3 months long. There's also then field training that occurs after they return from the college. So all in all, it's about a 6-month window, give or take a month, before you actually have a fully deployed officer ready to go out on the street on their own. So there is some challenges operationally that way, but again, we find that we are recruiting and finding some excellent candidates, and we're quite satisfied with the strategy that we've employed.
Thank you for that. I just want to make sure that we have a strategy in place in this competitive market and that we retain our community-based, municipally-led culture of trying to have candidates be fully acquainted with our community and the expectations of policing that we have here. So thank you for that. So on to 5.1.2, new mandatory online learning for the public safety sector. Chief?
Again, thanks, Chair, and to the board. Very excited. Obviously, the arrival of the Community Policing Safety Act in April 1st brings with it some new opportunities, including mandatory training. You'll see in this correspondence there's some references to board training, and obviously some of the themes that will accompany that training. So, excuse me, in reference to the earlier inquiry from Member Wiersma, yes, this is training that the board members will be required to participate and complete.
To the mayor.
Yeah, thanks through you to the chief, and thanks, Henry, for that question. Because I've been wondering about the training myself. Who coordinates that? Is that yourself, the secretary? How will this training get rolled out, and whose responsibility is it to see that it happens?
So through the chair to the mayor, I believe that the coordination specifically for the board members will probably come through the Ontario, so the OAPSB. I'm assuming, is it Kim Darling is the executive director for the OAPSB. I'm assuming that through their office they'll provide the coordination and the instructions to board members as to how to access it and run through the different modules, and then certainly a completion date that they would expect to see the training completed by.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Member Hahn.
Following up on your comment, I did, first of all, my comment is, I'm really pleased and I'm very interested in the core training that they're offering. That has to be done by board members by September. The human rights, systemic racism, the diverse multicultural, the indigenous peoples training. They indicated there's 4 e-learning courses. I went online to see if they're up and about yet, but the portal has not been uploaded yet. They're just from what I read in March, they're going to be offering that. However, the access to training you might see on the bottom of page 9, it did reference the roles and responsibilities for board members and committee. And it did say that prior to the training going live, requests to access this training should be directed to someone at the OPCDL, and I think you're right about Darlene. And but I was wondering if that is something, Matt, have you taken that already? The roles and responsibilities, basic one?
No training's been brought out yet.
Okay, so I know when I came on board, they had a very generic roles and responsibilities, and it was done by the OPSB. So I'm wondering if it does say request for access to training can be directed to that, that email there, that maybe a few haven't even had it, like roles, and before it gets live. I know that it says we're all to take it again by April 1st.
John?
Okay, Member Hall.
So next week, the mayor and I are going to a summit in Toronto that's on the new CSPA. So I'm assuming we'll probably learn more about the training and when that's going to happen then. So then the next board meeting, we can let everybody know, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more information.
And referencing your, about the CSPA, make sure, Community Safety Policing Act, I know that I received from the OPSB a request to, and I presume we all did, a request to join the meeting online, which I registered for, it's free, transitioning to the CSPA for Municipal Police Services Board. Did anyone else receive that?
What's the date on it?
March 4th or 5th. It's an hour-and-a-half course. And because it's, as the chief mentioned, it's becoming available April 1st, or that's when the new act goes in place. They've announced the training session for board members. It says Police Services Board Members.
Yeah, I received that. I'm going to be out of the country, so I'm
I wonder, though, if you're not even on their list, being new. But
I've just been told by the clerk that, I forget, by Jen, that she's going to collect all this information and distribute it to us, and she's going to find out what we need to do and when we need to do it by. Is that correct?
okay.
Okay, so we'll receive something. Over to the mayor.
No, thank you for that, Chair, because that's been one of my concerns. My question was going to be, and I didn't assume it was going to be the secretary/clerk to gather this information. That gives me some comfort, because this is, well, it's important training, right? It's mandatory. I didn't want to see it slip by, and I didn't want to assume who was going to do it, so.
And we don't know how many hours it is yet either,
No.
so we'll find that out as well. But we will receive something, if not by the next board meeting, as soon as possible, and we'll probably get an email outlining what we need to do and what deadlines are. And over to the deputy chief.
To the board, I can work with the secretary to ensure that you guys get signed up for because the OPCDL is actually through the Ontario Police College, so I can work with her to make sure that she gets everyone set up, and then the training will actually be through the Ontario Police College website.
Well, thank you for that. We'll put ourselves in your capable hands, and hopefully we will make all our deadlines and get our training done on time. Okay, so we don't have any training anxiety in the room where we're going to do it. Okay, thank you very much. Is that it for that item? Can we move on to 5.13? Okay, the 2024 to 2025 Safer and Vital Communities Grant Call for Applications. Over to the chief or the deputy chief, whoever's speaking to it.
Sorry, Chair. We are reviewing this application. As you know, we have 4 or 5 current grants that we have written, and some we have been successful at. So we're reviewing this one, ensuring that if it does fit in within some of the operational requirements, that we take an opportunity to write to the grant. If not, not all applications sometimes meet the threshold of where we're at, and as opposed to just putting a pen to a paper and hoping it sticks, we'll see just after reviewing if there's some value to writing to the grant.
Member Hahn.
I know that as I was reading it, they just says, you mentioned chief, they're looking, there's a preference population of greater than 100,000, so we may not qualify.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and we'll be updated on that as it unfolds. 5.1 for 2024, building a case against hate conference. Who would like to speak to that one?
I can speak to that one, Chair. So at this time, I don't anticipate anyone from our service attending this conference. But we can certainly consider it once we fully review the agenda and stuff to see if it's something one of our members can attend.
Thank you. We can receive an update at the next meeting. Thank you very much for that. 5.15 Missing Persons Act 2023 Annual Report, New Central Forms Repository Site and Training Supports.
I think through the chair, I think you'll see something further along in the agenda regarding the annual missing persons report.
Okay, that will tie in nicely. Thank you. And this is essentially just an information item. 5.16 Annual Reporting Requirements, Ontario Major Case Management and Violent Crime Linkage Analysis System.
Yeah, that's just a reminder they send out every year about the requirement under the Act to submit these stats, and I can assure you that I have a reminder in my calendar every year so that this will be, I believe it'll likely be at the March meeting that the actual report will be submitted to the board.
Okay, thank you for that. And I believe we have already moved and seconded and approved and received for information all those items, which takes us on to 5.2, Office of the Information and Privacy Commissioner of Ontario, Facial Recognition and Mugshot Databases. This is an interesting item, and I'm just wondering where we're going to be on that, so I'll hand it over to the chief.
So through the chair to the board, so this obviously is a information correspondence from the Information and Privacy Commission. Our service does not employ or utilize facial recognition technology. This correspondence obviously outlines that they have developed a template or a playbook, if I want to use some other terms, for police services and how to utilize that technology. So it is interesting reading, but we don't have any application for our operational pieces.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions on that? Before we move on to 6, which is the review of monthly police service reports. And I guess what I can do is ask for a mover and a seconder to receive these for information. Thank you. And all those in favor? Thank you very much. So that was moved by Member Hall and seconded by the mayor. I'm sorry. Okay, and with that, we can proceed to 6.1. Chief.
Thanks. As is customary at most board meetings, the information is contained in the reports, and as opposed to maybe me leafing through by page, I'll certainly just take questions from the board as they have inquiries.
Yeah, thank you. We can do highlights here. Okay, over to the mayor.
Yep. Just have one looking at the UCR report, traffic enforcement, kind of my favorite subject. That's tickets, correct? Either through you to the chief. So it does look like it's down from last year. So I just wonder why, 'cause you know we're gonna get questions, so.
Sure. So through the chair to the mayor, what these represent is a single incident. So every time a member of the service makes a traffic stop, there is a incident created within the records management system. We adopted this sort of operational model probably about 6-7 years ago to accurately track the activities of our members. The number is down considerably from where we were, say, in some of the previous years, save and except to 2022. The rationale for the drop in the January number is we've had one of our 2 traffic members off ill for a majority of the month, and that member obviously contributes to a larger number of the incidents that are created on a day-to-day basis. I do expect, and I know from seeing the daily activities within our records management system, that the February numbers certainly are trending a lot higher than where we probably previously were. So I think you'll see that number bounce back, but at the heart of the issue is just one of our members who, again, contributes to that number has not been at work a lot.
Thanks for that.
Thank you. And just a quick comment that I know that talking to many people in the community, they really appreciate the visibility and the activity involved in traffic enforcement, and anything that can be done by police administration to get that out to the public in either social media or media. It's really appreciated because I think it has a real effect in terms of reassuring people that something is being done, because everybody sees bad drivers, but it seems whenever you see a bad driver, you say, gee whiz, I wish a police car was here. And you can't be everywhere all the time. You are many places, many of the time, and I think the public just needs to be reassured that there is activity going on there.
If I may also add a further follow-up comment, Chair, is that with the arrival and the deployment of the radar signs, the pole-mounted radar signs, coming for the next month, we are going to be developing a monthly report that shows where each sign has been deployed and what data that is providing the service. I can speak sort of anecdotally that the 2 signs that have been posted on Head Street have been up for almost 2 months now. They have captured data for both December and January, and it's giving very specific data, including what, so each particular day, what volume of cars are traveling on that road. It's capturing speeds by the hour. It's giving you an average of what the speed is on that road. And I can tell you that the data on Head Street is showing that the average speed, somewhere in the neighborhood, I believe it's around 12,000 vehicles a day, the average speed being somewhere around 40 to 45. So it's being effective. But again, I just want to inform the board, excuse me, that coming forward, we are going to be developing an additional report that will be made available to the board, showing what activity and what data is being collected from those radar signs.
Right.
So just commenting as chair, I think that's excellent, and that's exactly the type of information we need to have out in the public. Member Hahn, you had your hand up. I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect. I think that's a really good report for board members. And another report I thought was very beneficial to us as board members was the CID report, Criminal Investigation Report, especially the street crime unit with Constable Shute. And then I was really pleased to read the DFU report, that we're embracing the new technology, especially for the DFU, and also the training that's occurring with those 2 units. And I think my comment was that's really great that it matches our pillars that we're working for the strategic plan. They tie in directly, you know, looking at new technology that will assist and make people's and constables' jobs more efficient, and specifically reduce crime and increase safety.
Thank you for that. I think you make a really good comment, and that is that the meetings of the police board should attempt to exemplify and demonstrate the pillars in the strategic plan that we're working on, and anything we can do here to a public voice to that plan which is coming, I think is going to really help us with this strategic plan. I think the police board needs to, in many cases, lead by example in making sure that the pillars of that strategic plan are exemplified at these meetings. And that, of course, is a way of helping our administration implement that strategic plan with our uniform and non-uniform forces. Mayor?
Yeah, just thank you for that, and I'd highlighted the CID report too, and we concentrate so much on traffic, and that's what the public, and they're not seeing the other work that we're doing, so actually I wrote myself a note, I'll be posting this on my social media, because I do think it's good. I mean, there's all this concentration about traffic, but there's a lot of stuff in there that the public should know, so I will be posting that to my social media.
Chief?
Yes, if I may, and again, through the chair to the board, I had made some highlights on my CID report as well. The first two bullet points obviously are referencing the activities of drug occurrences. The very first one actually was the result of a proactive focused patrol by the officer involved up at an address where we had received several complaints previously regarding illegal activities. So the officer was actually in the lot doing proactive patrols when his automated license plate reader got the hit on the vehicle, and then obviously the rest of the event unfolded as you see there. The second bullet point, I think you'll see some of the results of that search warrant that has been executed at an Adelaide Street address here in our community, and again, you'll see those details in the next month. Bullet point number 3 to me is it's an important example of some of the vulnerable community members we have, specifically the elderly, who are often targeted for these home renovation type projects. That's the sort of the details of this incident. And again, I was very pleased to see that our investigators had dug pretty deep into this and are working with some of our other regional partners and proceeding with some charges against this gentleman. And I'll just maybe end up with the, again, the digital forensics unit. Detective Constable Chris Butts is our member who has the training and exercises these operations for us. We had hoped that he was going to be available for this meeting, but we are arranging to, I believe, have him here for the March meeting to again give a presentation to the board.
Thank you for that. If there are no other comments on 6.1 to 6.5, we can proceed to section 7, which are items from Chief Campbell. Member Hahn, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were just 6.1. Okay. So I have a question, just maybe a comment in 6.2, and it related to the resource police officers in schools. And we've all seen that the DSB voted down their pilot program, whereas the London District is going to embark on it. But I really appreciated the comments that were in the report that you're preparing to integrate with the MCRT, with the schools. You've been in contact with the high schools. And I was wondering if you could maybe elaborate how it will be different from previous, if it is different, and what your view is on it.
Absolutely. So through the chair to Member Hahn. So both myself and Constable McIntyre met with the two principals, both at SDCI and at Holy Cross. This was probably late January, where we had discussed, and this was before the announcement from the Thames Valley District School Board, where they were going to be closing off the school resource officer program. So we, the purpose of our meeting was to sort of work through what we thought might be available to us with the school resource program. Obviously that now has sort of been put on permanent hold, I would call it. But we had talked obviously about the importance of the MCERT program, the value of that making relationships with youth in our community, specifically targeting high school age youth, and bringing in the MCERT program not as a in-class formal program, but more of an informal presence in the schools, making contacts, creating relationships with our students while working with staff already working in the school board, consultants, other resource people that they have working in high schools, to ensure that the youth who are having challenges, mental health challenges, or just coping challenges, have the ability to tap into the resources that the MCERT program provides. And if it requires more formal follow-ups, then we have ways to move forward on that, potentially outside of the school setting.
Just as a further comment, I know I was reading about how the Thames Valley District School Board was still going to be trying to encourage collaboration with the youth like you indicated. And a comment I thought, or a suggestion I thought was really good too, was that they have police officers as volunteers for youth sports programs. And I was wondering if there was any, if this was maybe a viable opportunity also.
So again, through the chair to Member Hahn, another great question. We have not formalized a program where our members are involved as youth coaches.
Yes.
I can tell you, and again, it ties back into a lot of our hiring strategies where a lot of our members are embedded in the community, have lived here, have grown up here. And I was speaking actually to one such officer this morning who is coaching not one but two of his children in local minor sports. He is very recognizable as an officer. And so I think there's an opportunity where we further expose the relationship that our members have as far as what they do on a professional side and what contributions they make in their community, whether it's through minor sports, whether it's through other programmings, you know, scouting and Girl Guides and other youth programs that are occurring, but to put our best foot forward, maybe in a visible way, with a uniform on, to help sort of identify that our members not only are here trying to protect our community members, but they're also community members themselves.
Member Wiersma.
Through the chair to Mark. Mark, can you give us an update on the homeless situation in Strathroy, and what is Constable McIntyre's role on that committee?
So again, through the chair to Member Wiersma. So an update on the homeless issue. There obviously are members in our community who are struggling and dealing with homeless issues. I would say the visible homeless issue is maybe not a very, I'm trying to search for the right term here. It's not a real visible issue in regards to the traditional observations of people sleeping in storefronts or in bank vestibules or on the street that you might find in some of our larger urban centers. The role that Constable McIntyre has, she sits on what's called the situation table, which I think the board is aware of.
Mm-hmm.
She actually is one of the co-chairs. It's a collaboration of a lot of different community resources, including the housing sector. And so when we do have someone who is being presented to the committee, we have the ability, Constable McIntyre has the ability to work closely with those organizations to help find some resources that would help alleviate those circumstances for a community member.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yeah, thanks, and I'm gonna jump in and then just talk, because I sit with Constable McIntyre on the Middlesex Housing Action Committee, separate from the situation table, but that is a great committee. So when I became mayor, the idea was, let's put together a committee to look at homelessness. There is already a committee in place, and I think there's every possible agency that could be there. So as needed, get input. I see Constable McIntyre there, and I'm going to use the right word, not painfully slow, but I can tell you that they're close to a solution when it comes to adult male homelessness. I don't want to jinx it, but there is some positive work going on in that group. And when you got all those people from the different agencies sitting there giving the input, it's a great committee, I can tell you that.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other comments before we go to item 7.1 through 7.3? Just out of courtesy to the Director of Finance, let's proceed directly to 7.2. We'll revisit 7.1 in a minute, but the updated proposed 2024 police services budget. We have some motions here and some things that we need to decide, and the Finance Director is here, so I think we could maybe just proceed with that now, if that's okay, Chief.
Absolutely, and again, through the chair to the board. I believe it was in either November or December, sorry. Let me just get my facts straight here. The original operating budget was presented and passed at the October 7th, 2023 Police Services Board. On January 18th, I presented the budget to council at a finance committee meeting. During that presentation, I had informed council of some staffing changes that were impacting our organization, and I alluded to it earlier in this meeting about having 2 senior members leave the organization. We have replaced those members with new recruits, which obviously comes with considerable salary savings. So I made that information available to the council and had made a commitment that I would redraft my operating budget and then bring it back to my Police Services Board for their information and approval of the updated operating budget. So that's what is being presented today to the board. I was able to find upwards to, let's get my notes, savings in the neighborhood of $118,284 from where the original budget presented back in October came in at. I have put more money back into our police IT expenses. In the original budget from October, I had reduced some amounts in the information technology line and the contracted IT line. I have put money back into those lines, back to the original amounts. So in total, at the end of the day, I've reduced the overall budget by just over $88,000. And that information, again, has been shared with the finance director as he is preparing all of those budgets by department for council as they make those difficult decisions in approving the budget. So I just wanted to bring that information back to the board.
So is it then that your suggestion is that the board should make a motion to, if you will, resubmit the revised, or submit the revised police operating budget to council for this budget season? Is that essentially what we're looking for at this first stage?
Yes, so through the chair to the board, that is the recommendation, that the revised operating budget that has been presented to the board is for information and approval so that it can land back at council as what the board has provided and approved for the police service.
Okay, so before we discuss it, could I have a mover and a seconder just to get the item on the table, and then we'll take the vote. Member Hahn moves, Member Wiersma seconds. And so for discussion, members of the board, any questions on this to the chief now that the motion is on the floor? Mayor?
Yep, more of a comment than anything, given, and kudos to you, chief, and the deputy, on how well you managed the budget, given the discussions in London and the increases they're
Yes.
facing. You're to be commended for your job in the budget. And then I did read with interest this morning, Municipal World, the story on CBC from Hamilton about the attempts of that council to manage the police budget downwards, and just the pushback from the police boards. I'm aware of that, but again, you guys do a great job with the budget, and given the pressures every other municipality's facing, you're to be congratulated for the job that you do.
Any other questions or comments before I call the motion? Yep.
Sorry, Chair, and I guess the other avenue or the other aspect of the budget.
Oh, I was gonna do, did you want that done under capital, or do you want it done under operating?
No, under operating, sorry.
You want it done under?
No, sorry, the capital and the operating
Yeah.
Are separate.
So we're gonna do
sorry.
operating
Yeah.
now, we're just gonna get,
Sorry.
we're gonna do operating, and then we're gonna go to capital.
Perfect, thank
Okay,
you.
no worries. All those in favor of the motion, which is essentially to submit the revised police board, but Member Hahn, Member Hall, all those in favor? Great. And now, we'll go to a discussion of the capital budget. So I'll turn it back to the chief for this discussion. Chief, over to you for the police capital budget.
Thanks again, Chair, and to the rest of the board. So I don't know if it's reflective in the report that you have available to you. The capital, the change, and again, this is why I've asked the Director of Finance, Bill Dakin, to attend, is there has been an injection of $500,000 that has been taken from our police reserve account and has been added into the line, the building annex design. That's going to bump the capital number up to 1.2 for the 2024 budget year. So I wanted the board to be aware that that amount has been withdrawn from the police reserve account to be injected into that line. And the hope obviously is that this is the seed money, the start of the building annex project, that council will obviously have some further discussions on. And the hope is that the placeholder is for a 2025 commitment of the rest of that funds required for that obviously will come back to this board for their information and approval at that time.
So essentially, of the 10 million is the placeholder for the renovation. This would be 500,000, which would basically defer 9.5 to 2025 or thereabouts. Okay, just to clarify that. Any questions for the chief or the finance director on this item? Okay, seeing none, then I guess we need a motion, do we? So the motion would be, the finance director perhaps can help me with the wording, because I do not want to get it wrong in terms of what we're directing to be done. I know it's basically having $500,000 added to the police capital budget for this year, but do we need anything else in the motion besides that?
I would just add to that line that the extra 500 come from the police services reserve, which is in the $1 million mark right now. So you're basically, it's about half of that. That money was earmarked for this to begin with, so I think it's just wise use of that money right now to get us to that point. So I would just add the 500,000 come from the police services reserve.
And I will ask the question that I think I know the answer to, but will this have an effect on taxation?
The 500,000 will not, no.
Okay, so this will have no effect on taxation
No.
this year. Okay. Member Hahn.
If it doesn't have any effect on taxation, could we not go right directly to the 1 million that's already in reserves versus the 500?
Through the chair to Member Hahn, certainly you can do the 1 million, but at this stage, we're just requesting the 500,000 to get things moving, and then the additional 5 can be used next on the 9.5, and bring that down to a 9 million, so yeah.
So we've heard, oh, Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, I apologize through you to everybody, I think, and I'm trying to remember what hat to put on, but I think I'll put on my mayor's hat with caution. In that, is there an assumption that council is going to approve the cap? So if you take the 500,000 and we spend it, and through their infinite wisdom, council says we're not gonna proceed with the expansion, is this lost money? Or are we gonna wait to spend the money until council gives approval? I'm just worried about, you know, spending the money and, again, putting on my mayor's hat, that's something may happen at council. I don't wanna see us lose the money, that's what I'm trying to say.
Through the chair to the mayor, so if you spend the 500,000, it's 500,000 spent.
Right.
If nothing proceeds after the 500,000, it's a 500,000 investment into something that may happen in the future, I guess, that will, if, say, 5 years from now, we'll say, they decide to move forward, you're a long way down the path, so it's not 100% loss.
Okay.
Yeah, to clarify, this money is essentially going to be used for final construction plans and engineering so that it is shelf ready. Is that essentially correct?
Okay, I'm okay with that then.
Okay, yeah, okay. So given the, and I'll ask the secretary, did you get the wording of the finance director's motion to your satisfaction?
I think so.
Okay, and I think we all heard. Does anyone need the motion repeated?
No.
Okay, do we have a mover? Mr. Member Wiersma and the mayor, and, oh, you have a question?
No, I was just gonna-
Okay,
I was
and all
keeping
those in favor? So moved. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you for that, Director of Finance, for attending on short notice. Appreciate that. And we will now go back to 7.1, and thank you for allowing me to arbitrarily change the order of the agenda without a motion. Sorry about that. But, okay, on to 7.1. The 2023 Annual Public Complaints Report is on the table. Chief, any comments? Or Deputy Chief?
Not a whole lot to report this year in regards to OIPRD complaints. As the report indicates, there were 3 that came forward, 2 of which the OIPRD deemed that we didn't even need to investigate. And then 1 that was investigated and found to be unsubstantiated. So that's...
Member Wiersma?
Just a comment, great report, thanks.
Member Hahn?
Mine is only a comment also, and it just demonstrates in this report on the 3rd complaint that was investigated, the value of the body-worn cameras, and it's best evidence for also public complaints now that we see, so good report.
And one would hope also that in addition to the technology, the de-escalation training that our officers demonstrate in their professionalism is probably getting some good traction here, and I'm hoping that that trend continues. And although 0 complaints is maybe impossible, but it looks like we're going in that direction. Maybe we'll see if we attain it. So do we require just a motion to accept that report? Okay, so a mover, Henry to remove it, and Matt to second it, and all those in favor. That is received for information, which takes us to 7.3, the 2023 Annual Report of Use of Missing Persons Act. Who would like to tackle that one?
I can look after that one as well. So annually with the new act that came out in 2018, it gave the police the ability to demand records while searching for missing persons. We did have one opportunity in the last year where we were required to do that. It was a missing teenage female, and looks like 10 urgent demands were made in that incident to try and locate her and get her safely home. Sorry, I'm just gonna open up the second attachment here. Yeah, so it's the template. And it goes over exactly what was requested. So there was a request from social services, urgent. The big one for us is the telecommunications. So we can provide the demand letter to Rogers or Bell or whoever the provider is for the cell company, and get their IP addresses, which we can search and locate where they may potentially be, which in this instance proved very reliable and accurate, and we were able to locate her with the assistance of a large municipal service up in the GTA.
Fantastic. Chief?
Yeah, just some additional comments just to sort of make. Obviously, with the passing of the Missing Persons Act from 2018, the intent of government obviously was to protect and ensure that the privacy of individuals was protected. Hence the creation of an annual report by police services to elaborate as to how often they are doing basically a warrantless type inquiry or search on someone's personal information, i.e. data perhaps from a phone. As Deputy Cushman has outlined, it has proved very valuable for us, and an effective tool to, in a pinch, so to speak, allow us to gather information that, again, allows for the location or identifying where someone might be so that we can bring them back into a safe spot sooner rather than later.
Thank you very much for that. Do you have a mover and a second to accept this report for information? Member Wiersma, Member Hahn, all those in favor? And so moved. Thank you very much. This takes us number 8, inquiries or comments by members. We're going to start with the person who's come from the longest distance. Member Wiersma.
It's great to be back. Nice to be back in Strathroy, and always is. And keep up the great work, guys.
Member Hahn, do you have any comments today?
Yes, I did. I wanted to ask, we had been given the draft strategic plan, and I wanted to ask, what are the next steps now? Like, and I saw that Member Hall brought forward no comments or no revisions, but when does like the stakeholder engagement happen or the community survey? I'm not sure on those types of timelines.
Perhaps the chief has a response, or the deputy chief has a response to that question.
I get to speak a lot today, which is not normal. Sorry. You're the chair to Member Hahn. So that is currently going on. It's set up. I do have a list. I don't recall the exact dates of when those stakeholder conversations are taking place. They are soon, and it'll be over 2 days, and I believe everyone that they've reached out to has replied to assist with our strategic plan. So from local groups, the high schools, our First Nations communities, they're all involved. So it's a good turnout.
Thank you very much.
So that community survey isn't in the workshed, is it? They're doing stakeholder engagements first and then?
Through the chair to Member Hahn. Yeah, the community survey did go out, I believe, last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. It's with the community one. So it's part and parcel of that one.
Oh, okay.
Are you the one that was mailed out that will be mailed back? And there's also an online one. Is that the?
Yes, I haven't seen it, so I'm gonna check on that. Thank
Yes,
you.
so it is listed on the municipal website, as well as, I believe there's a link to it on the SCPS portion of the website. And then it did go out in the, I think every 12th household in the tax roll. It got mailed out, so, yep.
Good to know, thank you.
Member Hall, any comments or inquiries today?
My only comments was I did get the survey. We were one of the lucky 1 out of 12. I had filled it out and mailed it back, so yeah, it is out, and it was very good. There was a lot of good questions there that you can answer, so that's it for me though.
Mayor?
Thanks, Chair, just seeking some advice on how to proceed, and then that's, and I'll take it from everybody, it's photo radar. I'm not sure where to start that process of asking about it. I don't know if it's here at the board or at council, and Chair, you've been around a lot longer than I, so if it's been looked at already, feel free to tell me, but I will, the idea's been floated out there. Haven't seen any negative response to at least looking at the idea, and I was prompted, we'll bring it up again, because I was in Oshawa in the weekend, in their community safety zones. They have speed cameras, for lack of a better word. I know there are all kinds of issues to be looked at, but even a simple report to either prove or disprove want to go. So I guess what I'm asking is, Chair, where do we start the process?
Well, before we go to the chief, I believe it starts here, and I think we had a cursory discussion of some of the operating expense challenges when we were discussing at some point, but I'll turn it over to the chief. Or the deputy chief, it would probably start here with a recommendation.
And that was in the back of my mind, that there was something somewhere.
Through the chair to the mayor. So I have reached out to counterpart with South Simcoe Police. They're in the process of moving in that direction. My hope, the person responsible for it was off, so I'm hoping to touch base with them just to find out more information about how they're rolling it out, the costs associated, the benefits to it. So hopefully at the March meeting, I'll try to have something done up in regards to kind of an overview of what we may be looking at.
If I may, just to sort of add on some additional comments again. There's obviously some information gathering that the deputy can bring forward back to the board. There may be a report for information and perhaps recommendation that the board may wish to act on after that information has been received. But there is a role, obviously, that municipal council will need to play as far as identifying, because there are currently only 2 areas where, for lack of better terms, photo radar can be placed, and that's in a community safety zone or a school safety zone. Those are 2 areas that obviously council has jurisdiction to identify and to enact in a community. So I think that we're taking those small steps to bring the information forward, and I also believe that the traffic committee is having some discussions on those, but again, I think this is maybe an avenue to get it in front of at least the police services board to provide some further life into it.
Well, with that, perhaps we can have a motion that the deputy chief bring a preliminary report to the police services board in a timely fashion in the next meeting or 2, investigating the practical issues involved in photo radar and community safety zones for Strathroy-Caradoc. We have a mover, the mayor, seconder, member Hahn. All those in favor? So moved. Okay, so did you? You captured that. Thank you very much. I was speaking too quickly. I'm sorry. And with that, I guess it's back to me. My only comment would be is, wow, what an efficient meeting. What great information. I don't know if other members of the board feel it, but I think we're moving in a positive and constructive direction. I think this parallels very nicely with our strategic plan that we're coming up with. And I look forward to the next year in terms of our meetings. I know we're gonna try and have presentations by members of our force to better educate members of the board and the community as to what their roles are and what's going on in our community, which I think really is part of the communication pillar. I think communication is one of the pillars. It's got to be. There's so many pillars and so many different reports. I lose track. So with that said, Chief has a comment.
Sorry, it's just more of an information sharing. For the March meeting, I just wanted to give notice to the board that I won't be present unless you expect me to log in from the North Shore of the island of Cuba.
sure.
But the deputy mayor will have an even greater speaking role at the March meeting.
Deputy Chief.
You may want to take that one back. Deputy Mayor.
Sorry. So I just wanted to give notice of absence for the next meeting.
Fair enough. A fair warning. And with that, we'll go to scheduled meetings. Oh, Inika, I'm sorry.
Not a problem. I did bring forward to you just last night, John, that for the OAPSB, and I don't know if it gets approved at the board level or I just bring it to you about attending the annual meeting for the OPSB. I'd be honored to represent the
I have
board.
no objection. I think that falls within our standard operating funds. I don't think, we don't need a motion for that, do we?
No.
No, I don't think so. So thank you. Yes, Chief?
Sorry, it slipped my mind. I heard Member Hull mention it earlier. Both myself and the deputy chief, along with two of the association members, will also be in attendance at the policing summit next week. So perhaps we can all coordinate and meet for a debrief after one of the intensive sessions.
We look forward to a report on that. We look forward to a report on that debrief.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, with that, we have scheduled meetings Tuesday, March 19th, Tuesday, April 16th, Wednesday, May 22nd. And with that, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. Member Hahn, Member Hall, and all those in favor, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Where is the meeting, Inika?
The spring conference is in Blue Mountain.
Yes.
Yeah.